Today is the 17th of July. I want to talk about something real quick. You see that that's a basket of zucchini I picked today. Look how big that one is. That's what happens when I miss one day. That's what happens when I miss one day of picking. So let me show you my so this is kind of my makeshift zucchini bed and sunflowers. All these sunflowers came up from a seed from a plant from last year. I just kind of translocated them. Some of them are actually in a spot where the old plants from last year were, but what I wanted to talk about was how connected are you to the real world? So I have this fundamental belief that human beings, we shape the world to suit our image, right? So what you end up is with crappy architecture and concrete, okay? And the further you get away from what God created you to be, forgive me for being winded, it's actually hazy because of the smoke that's up in Canada. So I'm going to show you that I go barefoot when I walk through here. And I just want to show a few things. So I took some old tires and I planted a zucchini in each tire. And in between them goes a sunflower, right? So when we get disconnected from the world that God created you to live in, we shape the world in our image and we turn it into a nightmare shithole. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't have any other better words for that. And basically, I'm asking you, are you connected to the seasons? Are you connected to the life cycle that God intended you to be part of? Right? And in this plane of existence, God said that you would, because of Adam's disobedience, death entered the world. You're going to be subject to living and dying. But at the same time, God wanted you to live as best as you could, even with a cursed ground. So what do you deal with? Well, if you look over there, there's creeping Charlie everywhere. And one of the things I learned about chickens is that they like to eat grass, but they don't want to eat creeping Charlie. Look what they've done to the grass over there. But they won't eat the creeping Charlie. This is weeds, this is thistle, this is the stuff that comes in. But are you connected to the land? You know, here's a tomato plant and a canna. I haven't grown cannas in years, and there's a seed that found its way. Are you connected to the land? We got giant green June bugs flying around these sunflowers. And I've already had to rip up one of these plants because it got infested with vine borers. And that's what I do with the plants once I realize they're infested with vine borers. Oh, geez, here's one that I missed. This is what happens. I mean, and it's also what happens when you got good fertile soil too. So this plant might have vine borers. I'm going to have to look at its stem because it's starting to wilt. And so there's one that I had to pull out of there. And I'm going to plant another. Actually, I planted a seed in there, a fast-growing variety, because it's like a 50-day life cycle. So there's enough time for another one to grow in here. But what I wanted to speak of was, are you connected to the land? Are you connected with the seasons? Do you grow with the seasons? Do you move? Do you understand that or are you locked in such a concrete box that you can't make any connection with what you were created for, if that makes any sense to anybody? And I am a firm believer that the further away you move from this type of thing, the further you move away from it, the more messed up your life is going to be. The further you move away from what you were created for, the worse your life is going to be. And I try to encourage people, don't just get out in nature. Become part of it to a degree. Not in a new age sense where people are you're one with nature. You're never going to be one with nature. We were created to rule over it. We were created to steward it. And the new age philosophy with people is you're part of it, be part of nature. Well, if you want to be part of nature, mate with multiple females, produce as much offspring, and kill your rivals. And if worse comes to worse, cannibalize each other if you want to be part of nature. We are meant to be more than part of nature. We're meant to be a steward of it. But are you connected to what God created you to be? Let me show you something else. This is a patch of grass that I cut that doesn't belong to me. And actually this doesn't belong to me. But I use it anyway. If you look, nobody else does. Because, they're worried that the electric company's going to come after them. Well, what's the worst thing I can do? Just trample it all? Big deal. So you trample it all. You hear my purple martins in the background, but what you see here, these are a wildflower called chicory. I mow around them, and I started with one plant, and there's multiples. And if you see, there's bumblebees using them. There's red clover back there. Notice that the neighbor doesn't have red clover. Notice that the neighbor over there, even though he cuts it, he doesn't have red clover. There's butterflies back there all the time using that red clover. There's a bluebird house. The bluebirds fledged. There was another house over there, tree swallows use that one. So the reason I'm saying this, and then there's my martin colony, which is quite active because all the young birds are starting to fledge. You have to be, here's a plant called burdock. The root is very medicinal. You have to be connected. God said, earth, you came from the dirt, and from the dirt you will return. Well, you got to be connected to the dirt in some aspect. See, that's my feet. Move with the seasons. Be part of the seasons. When I planted this, there were seeds. Now everything's growing up, and we're getting late into the growing season. This is all going to die back, and the cycle will start again. You have to be connected to the seasons. I don't know if that makes any sense to some people, but if you live in a world of concrete and steel, where you look out the window and you can't tell what season it is, because there's nothing green around, and there's nobody walking a street, and you can't see what they're wearing, be connected. You have to stay connected to what you were created to be. Here's some type of disease on a sunflower I've never seen. I have no idea what's going on with this. No idea. Never seen a sunflower with a disease. Well, this one's got it. The point being is, somehow or another, you need to be connected to the real world. You have to. I don't know what it is, but you got to get out there and connect with the real world. And jogging on a bike path through manicured lawns in a secure setting with managed grasslands and managed, or whatever, it just doesn't always cut it. Be part of it. Manage it. Dominate it. I hate to say that. It's not a popular thing. Be a good steward of what God's given you, but be a good steward of the resources that He provides. And if you're going to do something like this, manage it well. Manage it well. Whether it is birds, bees, or plants, and birds, bees, and flowers, whatever it is, manage it well. Be part of it. Don't make it your God, but be part of what God created you to be, if that makes any sense. Till next time.